And they do it quickly now because they have these machines that
I
fill
know
them
they
up.
can, if I remember correctly, fill nearly 700 in an hour, if I remember correctly.
That's pretty good too, and it's a machine. You know, hopefully we don't need them.
Right.
We talked about that earlier, but it's always good to have them on standby because we are heading in to the peak of hurricane season. Although I got an interesting graphic to show you here. We are looking at right now the Lakewood Ranch webcam showing a beautiful day out there. Lots of blue skies, not many clouds around. Little different scenarios setting up. It was hot. Heat index at 100 to 105 degrees in places today. Still remains hot too. There's not a lot of cooling storms here, but there are some big ones in the interior portions of our viewing area. Westerly flow is changing around. We're going to see a little bit more east to southeasterly wind over the upcoming days, and that will allow for those afternoon and evening thunderstorms to come back into the mix. And it looks like that will stick around too through all of next week. So we're going to go into a normal summer pattern, something that hasn't been too normal. And this is not normal to see this red tide. Still, this is the latest report from today. It just came out around 4 o'clock. And you can see the high concentrations just north of Venice, medium concentrations there, but high, and a little bit more high concentrations reported from Venice southward. The scientist who is a volunteer for Moat at one point had 2 million cells per liter at Venice. And here are some of the places that you see right here. This is, again, looking at the map, there is the airport of Venice Airport. And then just to the north there, we have some moderate levels being reported. And then we have some higher concentrations in South Venice, all the way down. It becomes a little spottier down there, but near Minnesota Key and stretching south toward Inglewood. Right now, the big storms are stretching across the central portion of the state associated with the sea breeze interaction of the east coast and the west coast breezes. A little bit farther away than we'd like to see because we like to see them a little closer to bring us a little bit more cooling storms. These are a long way to go to make it all the way to the coast, but there could be some outflow boundaries from these cells right here that could generate a few isolated cells later on tonight. You can see here's another one that just came out. That's a pretty big one. So we'll watch that march off toward the west, and then behind it you'll see these storms firing up like this one did. And then that'll happen in about 2 hours here, I think, in East Sarasota and Manatee counties. As far as the rest of the area goes, we have a little frontal boundary hanging out over the southeast United States. And there's been a little bit of dry air in place. That's going to change too over the upcoming days. More moisture content coming in on that southeasterly wind. The forecast model showing that front fading away, high pressure building in, a little bit more south to southeasterly wind flow. Favors inland storms, and then a few making their way toward the coast later on in the day. That continues on Sunday. So most of the morning should be okay. We'll look for scattered showers and storms in the afternoon and evening. The day planner for Saturday does call for that. Temperatures will be in the mid-70s, but the afternoon storms around. The main development region, again, we'll go back to that if the computer wants to cooperate. It's having some issues. It's Friday, folks. This is cool water here in the Atlantic. Second coldest on record. That was last week. Now it is the coldest on record in the main development region in the Atlantic, and that's good news. That means fewer major hurricanes, but the Gulf of Mexico is still primed with temperatures all in the 90s across much of the Gulf. Southeast winds turn to the northwest at 5 knots, mostly smooth out there. And as far as the 7-day forecast goes, smooth sailing in the morning, just afternoon and evening storms over the next 7 days, high temperatures in the low 90s. Back to you.